Today, we're embarking on a fascinating exploration into a profound and often debated topic. What was Jesus' position regarding politics, power, and government? In a world where religion and politics frequently intersect and sometimes clash, understanding the stance of one of history's most influential figures becomes not just interesting but essential. How did Jesus navigate the turbulent waters of his time? And what can his teachings tell us about our own interactions with political authorities and the pursuit of social justice today? Before we delve deeper into these questions, it's crucial to lay down the historical groundwork to fully appreciate the nuances of Jesus' position. So, let's set the scene by traveling back over 2,000 years to the region known today as Palestine. During Jesus' lifetime, Palestine was under the heavy hand of Roman occupation. The Roman Empire, at its zenith, stretched across vast territories, bringing with it a complex system of governance, law, and military presence. This occupation was not just a backdrop but a central element that shaped the daily lives, aspirations, and tensions of the people living there. The Jewish population in Palestine found themselves in a precarious position. On one hand, they were maintaining their rich cultural and religious identity, striving to preserve their traditions, laws, and ways of life. On the other hand, they were under the authority of a foreign power that often imposed its own rules and taxes, leading to significant economic and social strain. This tension between maintaining cultural identity and dealing with external control was a constant source of unrest. Within this volatile environment, various groups emerged, each with its distinct ideology and approach to the Roman rule. Among these were the Pharisees, Sadducees, Zealots, and Essenes, each playing a unique role in the socio-political and religious landscape of the time. The Pharisees were known for their strict adherence to the Torah and the oral traditions. They emphasized purity laws and believed in the resurrection of the dead, which set them apart from other Jewish sections. Their influence was significant among the common people, and they often acted as intermediaries between the populace and the ruling authorities. The Sadducees, on the other hand, were typically from the priestly and wealthy classes. They held significant power in the temple establishment in Jerusalem, and were more accommodating to Roman rule compared to the Pharisees. Their focus was more on the written Torah, and they denied beliefs like the resurrection, which the Pharisees upheld. Then there were the Zealots, a group driven by a fervent desire to overthrow Roman rule through any means necessary, including armed rebellion. Their actions were marked by intense nationalism and a willingness to use violence to achieve their goals. This made them a constant threat in the eyes of the Roman authorities and a source of instability in the region. Lastly, the Essenes were a more ascetic group, known for their communal living and strict adherence to their own set of religious laws. They were somewhat isolated from the mainstream Jewish society, focusing on spiritual purity and often withdrawing from the political struggles of the time. Amidst these diverse and often conflicting groups, Jesus of Nazareth emerged as a unique figure. While many saw him primarily as a religious leader, his teachings and actions had profound social and, implicitly, political implications. Jesus preached messages of love, forgiveness, and compassion, challenging not just the religious norms but also the societal structures that perpetuated inequality and injustice. His approach to authority was nuanced. Unlike the Zealots who sought to violently overthrow the Roman oppressors, Jesus advocated for a different kind of resistance, one rooted in personal transformation and the establishment of a kingdom not of this world. His famous Sermon on the Mount emphasized humility, mercy, and peacemaking, offering a stark contrast to the revolutionary rhetoric of some of his contemporaries. Moreover, Jesus' interactions with the various groups of his time highlight his complex relationship with power and governance. He engaged with Pharisees and Sadducees, challenging their interpretations of the law while also seeking common ground in their shared faith. His teachings often subverted traditional power dynamics, empowering the marginalized and critiquing the established authorities. The Roman authorities were particularly wary of Jesus. His growing popularity among the masses was seen as a potential threat to their control. The fear of a possible uprising led to increased scrutiny and eventually his crucifixion, a punishment reserved for those deemed as serious threats to Roman order. Understanding this historical context is vital as we attempt to decipher Jesus' position on politics and power. It wasn't a simple stance of separation from worldly affairs, but rather a profound commentary on the nature of true leadership and governance. Jesus' teachings urged a redefinition of power, not as dominance and control but as service and sacrifice. In examining how Jesus navigated these complex political and social landscapes, we can draw parallels to our own times. Today, leaders and citizens alike grapple with the intersections of faith, governance, and social justice. The questions Jesus posed and the answers he provided continue to resonate, offering timeless insights into the human condition and our collective pursuit of a just and compassionate society. As we continue this journey, we'll delve deeper into specific teachings of Jesus, exploring how they can inform our understanding of political authority and our responsibilities within it. We'll also look at how different interpretations of his words have influenced various political movements and ideologies throughout history. But before we proceed, if you're finding this discussion insightful and want to stay updated with our latest content, make sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring more thought-provoking content to you and fosters a community of curious and engaged viewers. Returning to our historical exploration, let's consider the broader implications of Roman rule on Jewish society. The imposition of Roman law and the presence of Roman soldiers created a constant undercurrent of tension and uncertainty. Economic exploitation through heavy taxation and the appropriation of resources further exacerbated the plight of the local population. These conditions fostered a fertile ground for various forms of resistance, both violent and non-violent. In this environment, Jesus' message of love and forgiveness can be seen as a radical departure from the prevailing sentiments of rebellion and resistance. While many sought to reclaim their autonomy through force, Jesus advocated for a different kind of revolution, one that sought to transform hearts and minds rather than overthrow governments. This approach emphasized personal responsibility, ethical living, and the pursuit of justice through peaceful means. Furthermore, Jesus' emphasis on the kingdom of God introduced a spiritual dimension to political discourse. It wasn't a call to abandon the temporal world but to reorient one's priorities towards higher moral and ethical standards. This dual focus on the spiritual and the temporal challenges believers to integrate their faith with their civic responsibilities, fostering a holistic approach to governance and societal well-being. The interactions between Jesus and the Roman authorities also shed light on his pragmatic approach to power. While he didn't explicitly reject the authority of the Roman government, his teachings suggested a form of resistance that wasn't rooted in hostility, but in a higher moral authority. This delicate balance between respect for established order and the pursuit of a higher ethical standard is a theme that continues to inspire and challenge leaders and citizens alike. As we reflect on these historical dynamics, it's important to recognize the enduring relevance of Jesus' teachings. In contemporary society, where political divisions and ethical dilemmas are ever present, the principles of compassion, humility, and justice offer valuable guidance. They encourage us to engage with political systems not just as passive participants but as active contributors striving for a more equitable and humane world. In the chapters to come, we'll explore specific instances from Jesus' life and teachings that highlight his approach to power and governance. We'll analyze parables, sermons, and actions that reveal his underlying philosophy and its implications for both his contemporaries and us today. But before we move forward, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like if you're enjoying our deep dive into these profound topics. Your engagement helps us reach more curious minds and continue our exploration of history, philosophy, and faith. In summary, understanding Jesus' position on politics, power, and government requires a nuanced appreciation of the historical context in which he lived. The Roman occupation, the diverse array of political and religious groups, and the socio-economic challenges of the time all played a significant role in shaping his teachings and actions. By examining these factors, we can gain a clearer insight into the enduring impact of Jesus' message and its relevance to our own political and social landscapes. Stay tuned as we continue to unravel the complexities of Jesus' teachings and their implications for modern governance and social justice. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a student of theology, or simply curious about the intersections of faith and politics, this series promises to offer valuable perspectives and thought. As we continue our exploration of Jesus' stance on politics, power, and government, let's delve into some of his most significant interactions with the political authorities of his time. These encounters not only highlight his approach to governance and authority, but also offer timeless lessons on leadership, justice, and personal responsibility. One of the most famous interactions Jesus had with political authorities revolves around the issue of paying taxes to Caesar. This episode is documented in the Gospel of Matthew 22:15-22. In this passage, the Pharisees and the Herodians approach Jesus with a seemingly straightforward question designed to trap him. They ask, "Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" Their intent is clear. They want to catch Jesus in a political statement that could either alienate him from the Roman authorities or the Jewish populace. Jesus responds by asking for a coin and inquiring whose image is on it. When they reply, "Caesar's," Jesus delivers his famous line, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." This response is masterful in its simplicity and depth. On the surface, Jesus acknowledges the legitimacy of the Roman authority by recognizing Caesar's right to collect taxes. However, he simultaneously emphasizes the supremacy of divine authority by reminding his listeners to prioritize their obligations to God. This balance illustrates Jesus' nuanced understanding of the relationship between earthly governance and spiritual allegiance. He doesn't advocate for outright rebellion against political powers, nor does he promote passive compliance. Instead, he encourages a thoughtful coexistence where civic duties are met without compromising one's spiritual responsibilities. Another pivotal moment occurs during Jesus' trial before Pontius Pilate, as recorded in John 18:33-37. When Pilate questions Jesus, asking, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus responds, "My kingdom is not of this world." This statement confounds Pilate, who is focused on maintaining Roman order and authority. Here, Jesus distinguishes his kingdom from the political and territorial domains governed by earthly rulers like Pilate. His kingdom is spiritual, centered on moral and ethical transformation rather than political power. This declaration underscores that Jesus' mission transcends political ambitions. It is about fostering interchange and a higher sense of justice. By not aligning himself with the expectations of a political messiah, Jesus avoids becoming a threat to the Roman Empire in the conventional sense. Instead, he positions his influence as one that seeks to transform hearts and minds, challenging individuals to pursue righteousness and compassion. In Luke 23:8-9, we find Jesus' encounter with Herod Antipas, the Tetrarch of Galilee. Herod, eager to witness a miracle or a sign, questions Jesus. However, Jesus remains silent, much to Herod's frustration. Ultimately, Herod and his soldiers mock Jesus, and he is sent back to Pilate without granting Herod the spectacle he desired. This interaction highlights Jesus' refusal to engage with those who seek him out for superficial or political gain. Herod's interest in Jesus is driven by curiosity and the hope of using him to bolster his own status. Jesus' silence in response signifies his disinterest in being manipulated for political purposes. By not entertaining Herod's requests, Jesus maintains his focus on his mission rather than becoming a tool for political agendas. This stance reinforces his commitment to spiritual integrity over worldly power and influence. In the Gospel of Mark 10:42-45, Jesus provides a profound lesson on leadership and authority. Jesus tells his disciples, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." He further explains, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." This teaching presents a stark contrast between traditional notions of power and Jesus' vision of leadership. Instead of seeking dominance and control, true greatness is found in humility and service to others. Jesus models this by emphasizing self-sacrifice and the well-being of others over personal ambition. This servant leadership model challenges conventional power dynamics, advocating for leaders who prioritize the needs of their people and lead by example. It promotes a governance style rooted in compassion, empathy, and ethical responsibility rather than authority and coercion. The Beatitudes, found in Matthew 5 verses 3 to 12, are a cornerstone of Jesus' teachings on justice and societal values. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus blesses the poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemakers, and those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. The Beatitudes invert traditional social hierarchies by elevating the marginalized and oppressed. Jesus emphasizes that true blessings come not from wealth or power but from qualities like humility, mercy, and a deep desire for justice. This perspective encourages a society that values compassion and fairness over material success and dominance. It calls for active participation in creating a just and equitable community, where the needs of the vulnerable are prioritized and systemic injustices are addressed. In Matthew 5 verses 43 to 48, Jesus challenges his followers to love their enemies and pray for those who persecute them. Jesus states, "You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." This radical teaching advocates for an ethic of love and forgiveness that transcends personal grievances and societal conflicts. By encouraging love for enemies, Jesus promotes reconciliation and the dismantling of cycles of retaliation and violence. Such an approach fosters a transformative social environment where conflicts are resolved through understanding and compassion rather than through force or retribution. It underscores the power of love as a force for social change and personal healing. Found in Luke 10 verses 25 to 37, the parable of the Good Samaritan is a powerful narrative about compassion and breaking social barriers. A man is left beaten and half dead on the side of the road. While a priest and a Levite pass by without helping, a Samaritan, a group despised by the Jews, stops to aid the injured man, providing care and ensuring his recovery. The Good Samaritan challenges deep-seated ethnic and social prejudices by highlighting the importance of compassion over societal divisions. Jesus uses the Samaritan, an outsider, as the exemplar of neighborly love, thereby urging his listeners to extend kindness beyond their immediate communities. This parable calls for active empathy and assistance to those in need, regardless of social or cultural differences. It promotes a vision of society where mutual support and understanding bridge gaps and foster unity. In Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30, Jesus shares the parable of the talents, which emphasizes responsibility and stewardship. A master entrusts his servants with different amounts of money, talents, before going on a journey. 2 servants invest and double their amounts, while the third buries his talent out of fear. Upon the master's return, the first 2 servants are rewarded for their diligence, while the third is reprimanded for his inaction. This parable underscores the importance of using one's resources and abilities responsibly and proactively. It highlights accountability and the expectation that individuals will contribute positively to their communities and society at large. Applied to leadership and governance, the parable of the talents advocates for the prudent and effective management of resources, encouraging leaders to act with integrity and foresight. It also implies that societal progress depends on the active participation and responsibility of its members. Throughout these interactions and teachings, Jesus consistently navigates the delicate balance between fulfilling civic duties and honoring spiritual responsibilities. His approach does not advocate for disengagement from political systems but rather for a thoughtful and principled engagement that aligns with higher moral and ethical standards. By encouraging his followers to render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and to God what belongs to God, Jesus emphasizes that while civic responsibilities are important, they should not overshadow one's spiritual commitments. This balance fosters a society where governance is conducted with integrity and compassion, and where individuals are empowered to contribute positively without compromising their values. Jesus' teachings on power, authority, and social justice continue to resonate in contemporary discussions about governance and leadership. His emphasis on servant leadership, compassion, and ethical responsibility provides a framework for modern leaders seeking to create just and equitable societies. In a world grappling with political polarization, economic inequality, and social injustice, the principles articulated by Jesus offer valuable guidance. They inspire movements that prioritize human dignity, advocate for the marginalized, and seek to transform societal structures through love and service rather than through coercion and domination. If you're finding these insights into Jesus' interactions with political authorities and his teachings on power and authority enlightening, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue to bring you engaging and thought-provoking content that bridges history, theology, and contemporary ISS. As we move towards the conclusion of our exploration into Jesus' perspective on power and government, it's essential to reflect on the profound insights his teachings offer for both personal conduct and societal structures. Jesus did not align himself with any of the political factions of his time. Unlike the Pharisees, Sadducees, Zealots, or Essenes, he maintained a stance that transcended the immediate political conflicts of his era. His focus was not on securing political power or overthrowing existing governments, but rather on fostering internal transformation and establishing the kingdom of God. This kingdom was not defined by territorial boundaries or political dominance but by principles of justice, mercy, and faith. In today's world, where political divisions and power struggles are commonplace, Jesus' approach remains remarkably relevant. His emphasis on internal transformation over external power challenges us to reconsider our own motivations and methods in the political arena. Instead of seeking power for its own sake, Jesus encourages a focus on moral and ethical integrity, advocating for a governance model that prioritizes the well-being of all individuals. Central to Jesus' vision for life and society are the principles of justice, mercy, and faith. In Matthew 23 verse 23, Jesus criticizes the religious leaders of his time for neglecting the more important matters of the law: justice, mercy, and faithfulness. This critique underscores his belief that true leadership and governance must be rooted in these fundamental values. Justice ensures fairness and equity, mercy promotes compassion and understanding, and faithfulness fosters trust and reliability within the community. Moreover, Jesus' ministry consistently highlighted the dignity of every human being. He reached out to the marginalized, the outcasts, and those deemed unworthy by societal standards. By doing so, he demonstrated that all individuals hold intrinsic value in the eyes of God. This inclusive approach challenges modern societies to recognize and uphold the inherent worth of every person, regardless of their social, economic, or political status. Understanding these principles invites us to apply them in our contemporary context. Jesus' teachings guide us to promote social justice, care for the needy, and act with unwavering integrity. In a world where economic disparities and social injustices persist, these values call us to take active roles in addressing these issues. Whether through advocacy, charitable work, or simply treating others with kindness and respect, embodying these principles can lead to meaningful societal change. Being responsible citizens means balancing our civic duties with our spiritual values. This balance does not imply a separation of faith and politics but rather an integration where our actions in the public sphere are informed by our ethical and moral convictions. By doing so, we contribute to creating a society that reflects the compassionate and just nature of the kingdom of God that Jesus envisioned. For Christians, the role in society extends beyond personal piety to active engagement in promoting peace, reconciliation, and justice. As agents of these values, Christians are called to influence their communities positively, fostering environments where love and fairness prevail. This involvement can take various forms, from participating in community service and supporting just policies to advocating for the oppressed and working towards reconciliation in divided communities. As we reflect on Jesus' vision, we are encouraged to embody his example of service and love in our daily lives. This reflection invites us to consider how we can apply his teachings in our political views and social actions. Are we promoting justice and mercy in our interactions? Are we upholding the dignity of every individual we encounter? These questions prompt a personal evaluation of how closely our lives align with the principles Jesus espoused. Following Jesus' example means prioritizing service over self-interest, seeking the welfare of others, and striving to create a more equitable and compassionate society. It challenges us to move beyond mere participation in political processes to active and intentional efforts to make a positive difference. By doing so, we honor the legacy of Jesus' teachings and contribute to the realization of a world that reflects his vision of love, justice, and integrity. In reaffirming Jesus' unique perspective on power and government, we recognize that his approach is fundamentally about service, justice, and love. Unlike conventional models of governance that often emphasize authority and control, Jesus' teachings advocate for a leadership style that is humble, compassionate, and ethically grounded. This perspective invites us to reimagine how power can be exercised in ways that uplift rather than oppress, and that serve the common good rather than individual interests. As we conclude, it's important to invite personal reflection. Consider how the teachings of Jesus influence your own political views and social actions. Are there areas in your life where you can better align with his principles of justice, mercy, and faithfulness? Reflecting on these questions can lead to meaningful personal growth and a deeper commitment to living out these values in all aspects of life. Embracing the example of Jesus calls us to a higher standard of leadership and citizenship. It encourages us to act with integrity, to care for the vulnerable, and to strive for a just and compassionate society. By integrating these principles into our lives, we not only honor Jesus' legacy but also contribute to building communities that reflect his vision of the kingdom of God. In closing, Jesus offers a unique and transformative perspective on power and government. His teachings challenge us to move beyond traditional notions of authority and control, inviting us instead to embrace a model of leadership that is rooted in service, justice, and love. As we navigate the complexities of modern governance and societal challenges, these timeless principles provide a guiding light, encouraging us to seek a more equitable and compassionate world. We encourage you to delve deeper into these teachings and consider how they can shape your own approach to politics and social responsibility. By embodying the values of service and love that Jesus exemplified, we can collectively work towards a society that truly reflects the principles of justice, mercy, and faithfulness. Thank you for joining us on this journey of understanding Jesus' perspective on power and government. We hope this discussion has provided valuable insights and inspired you to apply these timeless principles in your own life and community. Remember to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up if you found it enlightening. Your support helps us continue to bring you engaging and thought-provoking content that bridges history, theology, and contemporary issues. As you go forward, may you carry the lessons of service, justice, and love into every aspect of your life, contributing to a world that honors the profound and compassionate vision of Jesus.